In this video, we will continue processing our data and preparing it to upload into the Power BI platform. Here is the file we prepared in the last video. And again, the last step will be to either select Close and Load or Close and Load To. Since this is not the first time I've created this file, only Close and Load is available. So I'll click on Close and Load, and here we have the data ready to be saved and then uploaded into Power BI. So I will click Save, and then I'm actually going to save this as a CSV file as well. The CSV file is what I will load into Power BI. The Excel file is what I will use as the file that I will update new data within. We're now going to move on to processing our income data. Currently, we have a file with all income activities for all households and accounts back to inception. Since this file is a record of each transaction, we're going to process this so that we have a total amount of income per household for each year. As you can see at the bottom, there are 5 sheets in this file. We're going to combine this into one consolidated file. So again, we have a total income per household for each year. Just as we did with the last file for the performance and flow data, we're going to use the Excel query editor to process the file with the income data. And to do this, I'm going to open up a new Excel workbook, go to Data, Get Data, from File, and I will import the data from an Excel file. Here is the file that I'm going to import. I will double click on it. Here I'm going to check Select Multiple Items. So I want to upload the data from all 5 sheets. Now we see the 5 sheets loaded into the file. We'll use a filtered version of the file to make it easier to follow. First thing we'll do is promote the headers. We have our row headers in the first row. We're going to click on Use First Row as Headers, and that'll move that row of data up into the column headers. I'm then going to change some of the data types so that now the value information is recognized as decimal numbers. Since in some cases the total amount may be 0 or blank, we're going to create a new column that will be set up so that if the total amount column is 0 or blank, then the income value becomes the quantity times the price. So I'm going to click on Add Column, Add Custom Column, and the formula I will enter for the custom column is if the total amount column is not 0, then we'll use the value in the total amount column. But if it is 0, use the quantity times the unit price. So I'll click OK, and that will produce a new column where there will be a value in each row for the income data. I'll rename it to total. I'll change the type to a decimal. The next thing I'm going to do is I want to group the data for the income by year. Currently, the date for each row of income data is based on the date of the transaction, and I want to group this information by the year. So I'm going to extract just the year from this column of data under settlement date. And to do that, I'll click on Transform, Extract Text After Delimiter. I'm going to click on Advanced Options. And the reason is I'm going to use a separator in the date as the delimiter. But since there's 2 separators, I want to make sure that I skip the first one. So I'm going to skip the first delimiter, and then I will extract just the data after the second delimiter. And that will leave me with just the year. I'm going to reorder the column so that the settlement date is to the right of the household name. And then I'm going to group the rows so I sum the total for each household by year. And to do that, I'm going to select Group By. And in the top section here will be the 3 columns I want to keep in my file. So the household ID, the household name, and the settlement date. And then what I want to do is create a new column called Annual Income that will be the sum of the column currently called Total. So I'll click OK, and that will give me the finished data set for this household, which gives me the total income by year for this household. I'll rename the columns, change settlement date to year, and now this data is ready for uploading into Power BI to be used as the data needed for income by year. And lastly, I will select Close and Load or Close and Load To. And again, if you select Close and Load To, if it's the first time you've processed this file, you'll just decide whether you want to save this data in the current worksheet or in a new worksheet. So I'm going to click on Close and Load, and I'll have this data saved in a data table, which I can then save as an Excel as well as a CSV file. With regards to our annual performance file, I'm going to actually make some changes to this file before uploading it into Power BI. The Power BI query editor will do some of the work I'm going to perform now, but I prefer to perform some of the file cleanup before it's uploaded into Power BI. The first thing I'm going to do is remove the row which says Household Yearly Rate of Return. So I'll click on that column, select data and filter, select that column, as well as I'm going to select a couple other rows that I prefer to remove now. Click OK, and now I will delete these rows. The next thing I'm going to do is insert a column, and I'm going to move the row which identifies the household name and household ID into this column. So I'm going to filter this row. I'll search for every row that starts with 4 and colon, and I'm going to move those rows one column to the left, and I will delete it from here. I'm going to drag the information for the first household down. I'm going to delete the top few rows. Then I'll rename this column Household ID, or HHID. That is all the cleanup I need to do at this point with this file. We'll do the rest of the work once it's loaded into Power BI.